Gurrei.
Gurrei. Get a little
Gurrei.
Italian in there, a little Sicilian in there. Get a little Godfather going, you'll be good. Okay.
All right. I'm Bradley Thomas, and this is the Art of Changing Your Life Coaching, and welcome to the Take the Road to Freedom Summit. And here today we have Prema Lee Gurrei. I think I got that right. And she's a speaker, trainer, and coach who teaches personal empowerment to follow your instincts and to find your soul's perfect. Well, so, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous, Bradley. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm organized this whole thing about finding your life's purpose or your soul's purpose, and I want to help and empower others to find that, because once you know that and you're able to harness that, everything in life is a lot easier. Decisions are made faster. You're more confident. Just everything just kind of goes according to how, I guess you could say, your soul wants you to go. So why don't we kind of jump in, and why don't you tell people about your story and how you found your purpose, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, and you're so right about purpose. Purpose pulls us forward, and it gives us a place to weigh all our choices against, and to know if we're really on track, on alignment, on our particular path or course, even though that could be changing all the time. So it gives you the center to navigate from. So it's really, really useful. So for me, it was really quite early in life that I had this sense that I could do whatever I wanted to do if I knew what it was that I wanted. And that I had a lot of circumstances as a young kiddo that put me in situations where maybe I had a great idea about doing something. Like, for instance, I wanted to ride horses. Family goes out, rents horses, and all of a sudden I'm scared to death and I can't go. And I'm sitting there with the cowboy on the fence with the horse that's not without me on it.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to ride that horse, and I always had this in me, like, if I knew what I wanted, there'd be a way. And it was so great, because he was just this great guy who hung out with me for a while, and within 10 minutes I was on this horse, and which led to having horses all through my life, and this great trust. And I bring that up just because there was something in me that I always knew if something I wanted, there was a way. And where that leads into purpose for me as well is that part of my purpose, a big part of it, is to really have deep connection. Be deeply connected with myself, with the source of my being, whatever you want to call that. To me, that's God, that's the divine, and to be connected with others. So that started when I was young, around animals. And the other part of that was that I always found out that it's like I was always interested in so many things, and whatever I was interested in, there was always somebody there who wanted that information. So I found myself just being a teacher over and over again, whether it's, this is how you make that, this is how you do that, or whether later in life, explaining and helping people find their pathway actually to their purpose. The big turning point for me, and probably living my purpose, was being in my late teens, and I lived on my own since I was in my mid-teens. And I had a lot of different circumstances in life that put me in a position of, I don't know what to do next. Some real adversity, as well as opportunity before me. I don't know what to do next. But the next thing that would always follow that, at some level I knew that, I needed to connect in, and that was with myself and the other people around, and the answer always showed up for me, which then started to shift or more articulate my purpose in helping others to really understand that all the answers you seek are always inside of you, and you just need a pathway, a door, to open. And I love to help other people open that door, and that's including around discovering and living, because that's what I'm really passionate about, is actually living your soul purpose. It's one thing to know it, but it's a whole other terrain and territory to actually bring it down from your soul purpose down to the soles of your feet, and actually to live it.
Yeah, so I had an analogy or kind of a metaphor. I'm going to have to look up the definition of those words to make sure I got that right. But, whenever you're talking, I got this thing of, like, kind of cleaning yourself so you can see inside the true self. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I was.
Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted. I was a yoga teacher for many, many years and had a healing arts center and did the work that I do, and also did some of my work under the guise of being a yoga teacher.
Hmm.
And one of the analogies I would always use in that is that just imagine you're a stained glass window. You've got all these different colors, and through this practice of yoga or meditation or being out in nature, whatever it is, that you're just kind of polishing those, polishing that glass, making it so you can shine through a little brighter, a little bit easier.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at. I wasn't thinking stained glass. I was thinking more of some people might maybe that it's muddled up or dirty or you can't see through it or there's something in front of it. What's a way to start uncovering that so you can start. I know it's within you, but sometimes it just feels like it's like stuck or isn't coming out or you just can't feel it. What are some ways that you've helped others, to kind of pull that out or clean their stained glass?
Well, actually, it's kind of a threefold process for me, and there's lots of different ways, but this is what makes sense to me in the way
Hmm.
I'm wired up with my purpose. And then I use the tool of Vedic astrology because Vedic astrology is a deep science that's been around for thousands of years. It came from the oldest spiritual texts. It's in the Vedas, but it's a science actually. And it's really I call it the blueprint of the soul. It really helps someone understand what their soul choices are, including what the soul purpose is. And we actually look at that through at least three different lenses in that system, and help one understand themselves better. The next part of that, so there's that insight piece where I help people just either confirm what they already have an inkling about, because
Hmm.
most people do, but it's back here somewhere and they haven't brought it out and fully explored it, or because of cultural conditioning don't believe that it's actually possible or have a fear in that as well. So
Yeah.
that also jams our circuits. So then I do some belief and energy clearing to clear that away, and then someone can really see, oh yeah, is that really my purpose? And then the third step is always, okay, well now we have to add some strategy to actually being able to actually step forward, because it's one thing to know something and
Yeah.
it's another thing to live it. And that closing that gap is where I'm most passionate, because I could give insight all day long and you and I could agree and we get lit up for this moment. Does it mean we're going to do anything differently? That's when we make a difference, is when we do
Yeah.
something differently.
Yeah, yeah. I was just talking to a client last night, and they want to shift their mindset, and that is a huge piece of doing that. But even though that's a huge piece, you still need to bridge the gap between that mindset piece and then starting to take action to go after that.
Yes.
Um, so now I'm just curious, like how does that work with the astrology in helping determine? Just because I have no clue. That's almost like a fortune cookie to me. So if someone's on the other side wondering, what exactly is that, can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So when I look at your Vedic astrology chart, I'm getting your birth data, and I'm then helping you to understand. Um, it's literally a scientific lens, because all the planets have a particular energy, and depending on where they were when you were born, you're affected by that particular energy. And in our culture, we know, okay, my sun sign, I'm a Sagittarius, I'm a Scorpio, well, that only changes every 30 days. It's only one area of significance, and it actually is third down the line, because there's many other things that are changing much quicker.
Hmm.
So we have these influences, and then I'm looking at also what's happening in the heavens right now on an astronomy level. Where are the planets? Where is the moon? How is that? And that's what helps to understand what activates your soul choices. So when I'm helping somebody, usually what I'm doing is I'm looking at their chart. I don't have a chart right in front of me, but it's little symbols. Because I've studied it so long, I look at those little symbols, and there's a whole doorway that opens for me, and I'm an intuitive, so it helps me, and I tap into your energy as well, and I help to open the door to things they're already in you.
Hmm.
And I'm just bringing them forward into the light, and then we start to talk about them. And one of my ways I work with people is I ask really important, potent questions. Not that you should already know, but I bring you down to your heart where you do know. where you
Yeah.
actually get beyond this, all the static that's going in your mind, and so that your knowing actually comes forth. So I'm that whole process. Usually, how it goes is I'm talking to someone and they're like, "Oh yeah, that is how that is for me." And wow, yeah, that was a pretty challenging time. And really, that's going to open up for me in the future. So I'm really kind of dictating what the weather is and what it's good for, if you could think of it that way. Never about prediction. So the winter is good for, contemplation, drawing in. I don't want to plant my seeds then. Let's plant your seeds in the springtime.
Yeah.
And and work with the energy. And it's something that people usually can feel. It's something that people usually can feel.
What's you said you have a few questions. Are some of those questions ones you can share that if someone's watching they can start asking themselves and
Yeah,
maybe dig
absolutely.
a little deeper?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just do it, because I'm all about experience
All right.
anyway. Okay? All right. And so we don't need your Vedic astrology chart for this. Okay? So you can do this. And in fact, the free gift that I have for all of you will give you a longer process, a little deeper process of this that I'm going to offer you right now.
Cool.
Okay? So I invite all of you, including you, Bradley, to close your eyes for a moment, to take a deep breath.
Okay.
So when we close our eyes, we actually cut out 80% of the stimulus that's coming at us. So that's incredibly helpful for you, just to tune in to yourself. And then take a deep breath down into your belly, because we have to actually come down and integrate down through these bodies. That's why I say from your soul down to the soles of your feet. You're in the body for a reason. And I want to invite you to become aware of your heart. And you could simply put your hand on your heart. That's a great way to check into your heart. And science shows us that the heart is thousands of times stronger than the mind is. It is an incredibly powerful energy field. It's through the heart, that creative side. You can think of the right brain being connected to the heart, and it's through the heart that we actually access possibilities. And even just by tuning into our hearts, just that act, whether you're aware of what those possibilities are or not, you're actually opening the door to new possibilities. But this is also where you hear your soul speak to you. You might want to call it your wisdom. And I want to invite you to bring your mind and your heart together, because together they make a powerful team. It's really this beautiful marriage between the masculine and feminine within us. So you could just imagine your mind. It's brilliant, right? But it's busy. It's so busy. And just imagine you have a slide or a ladder between your head and your heart. And you're simply going to trust this is happening and let your mind just slide right down to your heart, down through your nasal cavity, the top of your throat, the base of your throat, and right down into the very center of your heart. And in order to land there, just take a deep, full breath, like you're breathing in and out through your heart. And you know that you're in your heart if even you have the slightest inkling of a little bit of ease or relaxation, because the heart is ever expansive. And I want to invite you to let this question drop into your heart. You could imagine like I'm throwing a pebble into the pond of your heart, and you're just going to sit back and watch the ripples and trust whatever comes up for you, whether it's actually words or an image or a feeling or nothing. It's all perfect, okay? And so let this question drop in. I'll ask it like you're all asking yourself. So if I did know what it is, that my heart, my soul, is really wanting for me, really desiring for me around my purpose right now, what might that be? If I did know what it is that my heart, my soul is really wanting for me or desiring for me around my purpose right now, what might that be? So just trust whatever you've tuned into or you're tuning into right now. It's perfect, whatever it is. All the answers are the right answers. And then we'll take it another level deeper. You can just make a mental note of what's come up for you. And if nothing came up, do not worry. That's perfect too. And I'll tell you why after a little while. And so whatever's come up for you around your purpose, if I really had that or was being that or was focusing on that, what would that make possible for me? What would that make possible for me? So just tune into that. What would it make possible? Okay, Bradley, you're going to be our guinea pig, and you're going to share with us. Okay? So what's the first thing that came up for you around the purpose question?
That I just need to be myself.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what would that make possible?
Um, and well, that I can be myself and make money at the same time.
Okay, great.
By helping people. That was another part that another part that came in there. It's like just at the that I can be myself and help others at the same time.
Great. Awesome. So, and that, I mean, you can't argue with that. I mean, that's a truth, you know?
Yeah.
So let's take it one step deeper. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and it's really great to get used to this. Wow, I can tune into my truth,
Mm-hmm.
and I can be aware of what's happening in the world and use it. I can go back and forth here really easily and have these inner conversations with myself. So what's one inspired action that I could take today or in the next 24 hours that would support me in what's come up for me today, would support me in this?
You want me to answer?
I do.
Okay, good.
We all do. Answer.
Okay. So, I could reach out to some of the people that I've been wanting to help and see if they need anything further from me, and not come from it from a place of getting money, but seeing from a place of, what I can truly help them with in that moment.
Okay, beautiful. And then you can even articulate this down further, and that would be, who are the people that I'm going to reach out today? So this is how we bring it right down into real practicality.
Oh, okay. So people, I've thought about this a lot. So people that are probably going to be a little bit like me, probably geek nerds, like to have fun, but at some point were stuck in their corporate job, and they just didn't feel fulfilled.
So do you have a list of these people, or do you have a way to reach out? So I'm talking about inspired action in the next 24 hours. So that's awesome on a general state, but I really want this to be useful for everybody. Yeah, that's great again to have the info, but let me bring it all the way down the funnel to bring it into focused reality.
Yeah. So I do have literally a list.
Okay, great. I thought you did. I could tell.
So yeah,
okay.
I could reach out to those people and let them know what's going on, and if anybody needs any help to reach back and see if I could, whatever it is, because I help people find their purpose, so they can go out and make money doing what they love. So whatever that first step is, I could email the list and let them know I'm looking to help people do that.
Okay, perfect. So whatever's come up for you, anybody listening into this interview, break it down to that inspired action step. And then actually the final step is to actually put it on your calendar. And then one more step is this actually to do it when that calendar bell goes off. Okay? So this is how we actually bring it fully into action. So when I'm helping someone around, even if you don't know what your purpose is, I guarantee you that if you're willing to follow the next step, you can drive from the West Coast to the East Coast in the fog at night in your car with just the headlights of your car, not even halogens, okay? And you just have to be really present, and you have to pay attention to what's right in front of you. And then you'll be able to, and then if you can weigh those choices on, well, I want to get to New York, so if I take that turn, is it going to take me to New York? No, okay, well, I'll keep going this way. It gives you this place to navigate from. We don't have to know all the way out to the end, but we have to be really present because our path is constantly meeting us. And does this light me up? And when I'm looking at your Vedic astrology chart, the part that I love about that science is that it really does help. Through that, I can really help you articulate what your purpose is, not by me telling you, but me helping to open the door. It's a conversation between us. And then what do you want to do with that now? And what's it a good time for? Because some people really, let's face it, I'm sure there's some of you listening in who you really don't know. You go through different cycles in life, and I don't believe that your purpose actually, I think it stays very much at the root the same, but the expression of it shifts.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
What you're going through it. Yeah. And also, my purpose might look one way in my career, I may be helping people with their purpose and doing a lot of people, helping them manifest, like listen to their instincts and intuition and actually manifest the money that they want connected to their purpose so they actually can make a difference. Because if you're not making your money, you can't make much of a difference because you're focused on survival. So, I could be doing that, but then what's my purpose in my relationship? Well, it's really deeply to connect and uplift the other one and uplift myself. So your purpose gets expressed differently in different areas of life as well.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to put it, because I don't want anybody to take in a lot of this series and get that it's like one exact thing and you have to do that for the remainder of your life. I think it's just what I want people to get from it is that it is kind of an evolving, not so much changing so much, but it's like you said, it's a different way to express yourself in that time of life that you're in,
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and when I look at the Vedic astrology chart, you run planetary cycles. And so you might be running a cycle that's really dominant, even though you're in your career for your whole adult life, for instance, but it might be really dominant on partnerships, just because that's the cycle you're in, which doesn't mean you're not doing your career, but there's this lens of partnership, and you're learning and clearing up your past around partnership and opening up to deeper partnerships. And then maybe you move into a cycle that is very much like around your career or really dominates you personally, your personality and who you are in the world. Sometimes it feels like, oh, I just took a left turn. I mean, I'm sure you've all experienced, like, you're just trucking along, this job seems fine, this relationship's fine, and then it's like, boop, what the hell happened? I just, it's like a left turn, and that's all you could take. You've changed cycles. There's a part of you that actually wants to be in a full expression around your purpose, now a little to the left, in a different way. And sometimes that really throws people completely off. They feel like they failed. Like, okay, what was all of that for? No, you gather up all of that and you take it with you over here now. And the focus may change, but the flavor doesn't have to.
Yeah, I kind of like that. The flavor doesn't have to. I mean, it's the same thing. I don't eat much bacon, but for some reason, bacon. I think that's the marketers behind the bacon movement. I think they just do a really good job that anytime you think flavor, bacon comes out or whatever.
I haven't eaten bacon in 30, 40 years probably, and I can taste bacon as you say bacon. I'm with you. Okay.
Yeah, and they've just done a really good job at it, and I haven't had it in a long time as well. That's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah, so I mean, just keeping that frame of mind, and if you can remind yourself, during some of those bigger shifts, that's something that is going to take, it might take a little more work, because once you find your purpose, you're going to go after it, and then there's going to be a shift that's going to happen.
Yes.
Right as I said that, the UPS truck just showed up at my house. I told you about this. My book's being delivered, so that might be a shift. Completely off topic, everybody, but my first.
But not really, because it's on purpose.
Yeah, it is on purpose. Just to clue everybody in is that I told Prema before we started that I might have to run out and go grab the UPS, the box whenever UPS shows up, and here they are right now. Ridiculous. But I won't stop the interview. The box will be there. But the dog will bark here in about 10 seconds. Okay. So yeah, moving forward. So once you found, your purpose, how did you start turning that into a business?
Good job on the 10 seconds.
Yeah.
The brown truck man. Okay. So I have turned that into a business several times in my life. Mm-hmm. And again, as things have shifted and changed. I've done a lot of different things for a living, and I want to address this subject because I think it's really important.
Yeah.
Your purpose doesn't always mean the job that you have or the business that you have. It means, can I express this purpose in this context of this position that I'm in, even though it's not my business, or maybe I didn't even like it before, but now I know what my purpose is. Oh, I can, I'm a connector. Okay, well, I can go into my job now, and I can really be my purpose. I can connect in different ways I didn't see possible before, and then and bring other people together, and that's going to make more money for the company, and I'm going to get promoted, and that's going to be really great. There's times when I was doing that with my purpose. When I shifted that into in my own business, I was in my late 20s. I'm 51. Yay. So that was, I can say 20 something years ago. And I knew that I wanted to help people in the way that helping them to connect to self, source, to others, to help them shine up those little different colored windows on their stained glass, get more clear. Yes. And so I stepped into being a yoga teacher, which I had been for a while, and doing this behind the scenes kind of clearing work and all the work that I do. And I kind of did it under the guise of being a yoga teacher because I realized, oh, I can teach anything under this format. And I had a big healing arts yoga center and all of that. So, and then it shifted forms again, because the way my soul blueprint reads is that given huge structures, because I'm one of those kind of people who's really capable, I could sit and do tech all day long, I can support in a lot of different ways, that I would be the one holding the responsibility, but I may not have the energy left to do what I'm really meant to do. So I had this big brick and mortar business, and I realized that I was supporting that. And I was still working really hard and teaching and training teachers and helping people with their purpose on the back end, but I was getting depleted because I was off purpose. Mm-hmm. And when I finally listened, so listen, if you're depleted, if your energy isn't really feeling enlivened, then yeah, listen to that. And I just had to make a tweak, which is I needed to go back into private practice and not support a whole bunch of other people. Not support a whole bunch of teachers and practitioners and all of that, but go back into really being in private practice. And as soon as I did that, my income went right back up again. And the reiterations of my business, the focus has changed a little here and there, mm-hmm. but the purpose of it hasn't changed. So does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say the outer surface is what changed, but the inner self, you're just, like you said, expressing it differently, and through a new form of business. But I do want to touch, on what you said about taking your purpose with you, mm-hmm. Because I know there's a lot of people who have good jobs and they may even really like their job, but they don't feel fulfilled, and yes. it may just be a tiny shift of their thinking of like, how can I, really... So if someone really loves helping people, and that's where they feel the most fulfilled, they might be able to go to talk to their boss, tomorrow and say, this is what really lights me up. I really love helping people. How can I do that with this job that I'm not really connecting with that many people right now? Because if I do, you're going to see a lot better improvement for me, more productivity, whatever it is, I'm just going to light up more at work, and that's going to equal everybody else lighting up. So I think that's really important.
It is, and it's twofold too. So remember, purpose isn't about what you do, it's about who are you being. Mm-hmm. And who are you being is always at play, no matter what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're in the situation that Bradley's talking about, which I think a lot of people are in, either a current business or a current position, because most people are in their career and working for a living. Mm-hmm. And in the Vedic astrology chart, we look at work and we look at career in two different places. Work you do for the sake of something other than yourself, i.e. in money in this culture. Career you do for the sake of yourself, and money tends to follow that. And so if you think about that, whatever you're doing, you want to be doing for yourself. So for instance, if you've articulated that your purpose, maybe is to connect, or that, out of everything you do at your job, you like to teach the most, or out of everything you like to do, you like to be behind the scenes and make sure the framework of things work really well. And so you can take that upon yourself to put more focus and attention on that part of your job. Or like Bradley said, you can walk in and say, hey, this is what really lights me up, is this part of the job. And especially if you can articulate that to your boss, mm-hmm. they usually will work with you. If you go in pretty ambiguous, they're not, some of them are going to be great and work it out with you. But if you can really identify that part of it that really, really turns you on, then that you really help them to be able to, create the position the way you want to.
Yeah, if your boss knows that you're really excited about something, as long as they're pretty smart. They would be, they should let you, let you move in that direction. If
Yeah.
it's, as long as you're not saying, I think I would be the best if I was the CEO right now, and you're talking to that. You need to make a little, I mean, we're not talking to, maybe that is, I mean, maybe that's the direction you want to go, but if you can start moving towards that shift of your purpose and stuff like that.
Well,
So,
and then let's just remind one other thing is that, okay, so no, I can't go have that conversation with my boss. And these are, this is a huge structure of a company, and they've hired me for this narrow slot right here. I guarantee you, if you really are tuned into your purpose and who you're being, so if it's that great connector, or if it's that great support person, or if it's that great visionary, or if it's that great leader type, or, that great techie type,
yeah.
if you're willing to really wear that every day, like this great, beautiful garment that you're putting on. This is what, and really infuse that into what you're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
The universe will reorganize around you. It's, again, if you can go ahead and be your purpose, opportunities to do it will show up for you.
Yeah, I think just stepping into those really has you're telling the universe, you're telling God that I'm ready to do this, and then things start happening because of that, and you start. It's like what comes to mind right now is like when you buy a new car, and then the next day you drive it off, and you start seeing all the, you start seeing everything, the same car over and over. It's like what you focus on starts. It's like what you focus on starts appearing in your life, and if you start focusing on your purpose, all of that starts appearing in your life too, just in different types and realms and jobs or synchronous moments or people that you're supposed to be connected to. It's just by putting that purpose, the focus on the purpose, it can make a huge giant shift.
It's a universal principle, and just remember, when you are putting your focus on it, there's two ways to do that. I don't know what it is. I'm frustrated. I don't have it. Where the heck is it? I wish I could do it in this job. Or there's like, oh, this is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and be this. Or I don't know what it is, but I'm open to my purpose today. I'm open to seeing it. I'm open to finding it. I'm open into opportunities for it.
Yeah, it's it just feels. If it feels like it's not, it just feels natural once you get into it. It doesn't. I was talking to another speaker last night, and once you're there, like for me, like if it feels natural, I don't get too excited about it. It just feels like I'm on the path to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there's going to be exciting moments within it. I know that, but I just kind of felt like I was just supposed to be doing it, and it's all started to work and come together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you took, we've got a few minutes here, and I'll let you. Well, we've pretty much just been talking about purpose, and some of the interviews that I've done, we've started talking about a little bit about business.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I give. Do you want to use the remaining time to talk about any more questions or ways people can really dig deeper, or does it make more sense for you right now to kind of give some people a little bit of business strategy, around?
Yeah,
purpose?
absolutely. Some business strategy. I do a lot of helping people, take their purpose and actually make it into a business. So
okay, so that lit you up. So let's go with that.
Yeah. No, this is where I'm so passionate about helping people follow what I call your instincts, and that's where your deeper knowing, your intuition, where you actually feel it in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Bradley was just talking about with the, oh, that's right. It's not necessarily bells and whistles going off. You just like kind of know it in your bones.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel when it's not right as well. One of the problems that I see that happens for people is that they realize, or they get this inspiration for this business that they want to create, or for what they want to be doing, and maybe they've seen someone else do it, and they're like, yeah, that feels right. Then you've got all this cultural conditioning coming at you that, well, is it possible, and, working against you. And yes, any way that you want to have a business is completely and totally possible if you are totally, if you're totally in it and totally on board for it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, you can, as long as you're serving people and helping solve a problem that they have, they will buy usually whatever you have. I mean, there's some marketing stuff in there, but. there's ways to do just about everything.
There is ways to do just about everything. And let's just say there's ways to do everything given that criteria, that it's uplifting people in some way, that it's doing a good service, and that it lights you up too. That you feel on the road for that. So one of the ways that I help in create businesses is, first, let's get really clear on what your purpose is. How do you want to express that through either the business you already have, because that's also can be the case, like, yeah, this is my business. I have a client who is practical and very esoteric. She's like more of a channeler kind of a person. She gives intuitive advice. And so she knows she's on purpose, but is her business in a construct that allows people to come in and are really clearly identified with what she has to offer, so she can have this monetary exchange, this energetic exchange, and actually, make a viable business out of it. So that's the structure that I have helped her put into place, to have her be. And what I find with most people is when they are not clear, they're questioning all the time, is this the thing I should be doing, or how should I do it? And there's so much, you got to get above the distractions, the noise, and the shiny objects that are at you all the time. And you've got to stay focused on a path long enough to bring it into form. And most of you, if you already have a business or you want a business, you probably have a sense of what you want that form to be. And so you've got to have some blinders on, or someone to help you to have those blinders on, so that you can actually focus in and take one logical step at a time, so that you actually get some energy momentum built in the direction that you want to get it built in. And that's the same as if you're going to create a store that sells food or sells clothes, you've got to put the bricks together. You got to have a brick and mortar business. You got to have the stuff in the store, the sign that says that you have the stuff. It's just basics. Is having it focused, but it gets a little amorphous when it's you and your thing that you're offering. And this is where focus really comes in.
Yeah. The what is it? Oh, it was Gary Vaynerchuk. Someone mentioned the other day that he was talking about someone who wanted to give up. And it was like they had started their business, I don't know what it was, but they were only 3 or 6 months in, and things just weren't happening. And Gary said that you're just still at the beginning. I mean, you still just haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
Like if you really believe in this, you just need to keep pushing, and it will work itself out, and you'll figure out the problems. But 6 months is really just a drop in the bucket. It's and I like. The founder of Uggs, Brian Smith, saying that basically your business is kind of like a baby, and in the beginning it's just going to wail all over and have problems and all the things that babies do, and you're just there to nurture it and keep feeding it and keep changing its diaper and move it along so that it can eventually grow up and be self-reliant and do its own thing. And if you can keep that framework in mind, that when you're having issues and you can look back, go, oh, I just got a terrible 2-year-old. It's all right. They'll grow out of it,
Right. No, and that's a great way to look at it, because a business does have a life of its own, and so it's got a soul. I think your business actually has a soul. I mean, it has it has the purpose and whatever you're infusing into that, and you got to choose the pathway, and then be open to when there are going to be changes in the pathway. Like, for instance, when someone comes in to work with me, we work for at least a year period of time. That's the minimum amount of time. And we spend what I call a VIP day or a half VIP day in the very beginning, where we go deep into your Vedic astrology chart. We clear whatever major fears are up for you. We get really crystal clear on what purpose is for you or your business. If it's a business too, what the purpose in your business is, because it's twofold. Yeah. And then we create the strategy for the next 12 months, which looks more like an outline than everything filled in, because some things will be revealed, but it is a focused trajectory. And that's done through a conversation, and also understanding the timing and all these things. So sometimes you have a terrible 2-year-old, because we got some challenges that are going to come up, and they're going to need to work themselves out. But are you going to hold the form long enough for those to percolate out, and for you to find out even what's the clearer direction underneath those challenges?
Yeah, and having the strategy there is really key, because when you get off off, when those shiny objects show up.
Yeah.
And sometimes those shiny objects are opportunities that sound really good, but they're not what is either on purpose, and sometimes you may not be ready for those big shiny objects. That's why it's so important to be really clear once you know your purpose, what your strategy is, because you will know when to say yes to those opportunities, and you also know when to say no, and say no, I'm either not ready for this because it will make me grow too fast and I'll crash, or it's just not on. It's out of alignment with what your purpose is, or
Right, and
your business purpose too.
that is that's why having a plan is so very useful. And we have shiny objects come in a couple of ways. And
Besides
sometimes
Facebook.
well, I mean, how many? Oh, I'm doing this kind of marketing. Oh, well, what about this shiny thing over here? You know what? It's all made up in the universe. You could pick any one of those, but the bottom line is, are you going to follow through long enough to bring it into fruition? Okay, so there's not a right and a wrong way necessarily. There's actually, follow through is part of that. And the other thing that you were just talking about, like that's another thing that the Vedic astrology chart is so useful in, and it's strategizing with the way the energy is going. Think of it as like the weather, not about prediction. So for me, because of where the eclipse pattern is, I knew that I was going to become very popular this year. So I have had a lot of opportunities coming to me. I've had to be incredibly discerning on my opportunities. Do they match not only my purpose, but also the plan that I already have in place that feels really good? Because I could get distracted, or I only have so much energetic currency. So if you figure you've got $100 of energetic currency in a day to function off of, you've got to finance, doing your purpose, doing your work, all your past you don't even know about, the part you already know you're financing, whatever crap you've taken on from somebody else. And then when you're going into creative energy, you really need a lot of energy in present time. So you may think, oh, well, this is making me seem very popular. This is making me seem very, but is that popularity, is that actually going to contribute to this plan you set for yourself? And so, yeah, it might be nice to have some recognition and be popular, but is that actually going to serve your purpose? And so you've got to really pay attention to that. So when you have those two things, that strategy, that plan you're working with, at least for the next 6 months or 12 months or whatever it's going to be, and I know what my purpose is, then you can weigh all your choices. Is this in alignment or not? Yes or no? Move on.
Yeah, it makes that plan really does. I mean, and the word plan, I think, makes people think too much and is sometimes a little overwhelming. So that's why it's really important once you know your purpose. I mean, it's just a phrase, or you just kind of know it. That you don't have to go back to the plan. You can just be like, oh, exactly. That makes no sense to what I do.
And you'll feel it. You'll feel it.
Yeah, and it's that's the best way to put it. I was trying to make some other way to say it, but no, that's
well. And two identifiers in it are really big. If you feel like if something comes across your path and you feel like, oh my God, I've got to do this now, and if I do this, then everything is going to change over here. With that kind of intensity to it, it's probably not the next logical step. Probably something shiny.
Yeah, probably something shiny. Like a dog barking in the background.
Like a dog, which is totally fine. We love dogs. And if it's something where you go, oh, that sounds right. That sounds good. And it is new and different, but it's like it lands in you, but not with so many, not with like, oh, I have to or else. And then you know it probably is right.
Dog's barking. Gabby, be quiet. So yeah, as we're kind of 1 second, hold on. All right, I got her.
Good job.
Sorry about that. So yeah, we'll. I kind of wanted to. We're getting towards the end here.
Okay.
So Prema, what is one last big piece of advice that you can leave with people when they're trying to, when they're in that searching stage? Because obviously, if they're watching, they're still looking and trying to really hone in on their purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's a 2 minute, you meet them on the street and they ask you, they put you on the spot, how do I find my purpose right now? What's the best thing they can do?
I would actually, even if we just met on the street, I'd actually have you close your eyes, I'd have you put your hand on your heart, and I'd have you take a couple of deep breaths and come back to earth and come
Yeah.
back to your center of truth. And then I would ask you a couple of things. What are you most passionate about in your life right now?
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest difference that you would love to be part of making in the world? What's the biggest difference that you would be, and what's the biggest difference that you know if you made in yourself would
Yeah.
make a big difference? And getting in touch with what you're passionate about and connecting that to a difference in service as well, because I guarantee you whatever you choose as your purpose, it's not because you've mastered it. It's because you have the aptitude for it, you have maybe you're wired up for that in some way, but it's part of your path that you're going to continue to grow throughout your lifetime.
Yeah.
Probably. And that you're one of the teachers of it, one of the discoverers of it as well.
Yeah.
And I would also ask one more question, which is, what has the most meaning for you in your life?
Mm-hmm.
What has the most meaning? When you connect meaning, you're on purpose. That's that. When you have a deeper meaning, then anything that's of purpose to you has a deeper meaning to it, and you feel that at a deeper level. And that's the reason we want to be connected with our purpose. We want this whole experience to have some deeper meaning to it.
Yep.
So it all, and then it makes sense. Even the crazy chaos that it is, it actually makes sense when we find our own personal meaning with it.
Okay, cool. I think that's. I think it's really helpful if you can just take that 5-10 minutes out of your life just to get it started. And if someone's willing to do that, how can people connect with you? And in that same vein, if they want to connect with you, what does that type of person that loves to work with you look like? Not physically, but what, if you could describe the ideal type of person that you end up working with, that would be great.
So who I tend to end up working with is those of you who know at some level that either what it is that you're really meant to be doing or being,
Mm-hmm.
or know what's possible. Like, I know it's possible that there is a purpose for me, and you're not doing it. You can feel that there is the gap between what you know is possible and what's actually happening in your life.
Yeah.
And that you actually want to close that gap, because you could be an armchair person on purpose for the rest of your life. You could know it. You could even know it and never do it. But I like to close that gap for you and help you actually do it, whether that's creating a new business for yourself, allowing you to really express your purpose in the business that you're already doing in your professional life, really creating a really good financial flow for yourself. And love and money are all connected. It's all absolutely connected.
All starts working together.
It does. And it's all so much about personal value and being able to actually trust yourself. I help you to trust yourself so that you can make those choices as they come up in the moment, like we talked about. When you can do that, then you know there aren't any mistakes, and you know that you're on your path. When you actually are embodying that, then you're just attracting more and more to you that is resonant for you and is your path, including people, opportunities, money, and ways to serve, bigger ways to serve. So to get in touch with me, it's premalee.com, PREMALEE.com, and there's a contact that'll pop right up, and you can type in and chat and write me a note right there. You could also set up some time to talk with me right there about possibly taking it a step further with you. And I'm also there's also a free gift here for you as well. And this free gift will take you, I call it the Soul Wisdom Meditation. It'll take you deeper into the self-inquiry that you can do, and if you get fluent in this, it's something you can do. I encourage you to do it every day, and really, because you'll actually be able to take steps forward every day, whether you're totally articulate on your purpose or not. And I'm going to throw in another training to this too, which is 7 Steps to Discovering Your Soul Purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is a very practical how-to. I take you through. It's a recording that I actually take you through a process to help you understand and discover what your purpose is.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, and I really do encourage people to go out and check out Prema's website. If anything she said has resonated with you, it's probably for a purpose. So go out. What is it? The little bottom area that pops up on your website. Go fill that out and schedule time. It's 15 minutes of your time to start living your purpose. I think it's really important. Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to make sure to really encourage people to go out there and do it, because I think it's really, once you know that, everything else just gets a lot easier. So go check out Prema's website. And Prema, thank you very much for being here today, for putting up with the dog barking and everything else. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really a joy to connect with you today, Bradley, and go deeper into this subject, and all of you listening in, feeling you too. And I just hope that even just one thing we've said today has hit home for you. Then we know we've served our purpose here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks so much, Prema. You have a great day.
Bye-bye.